ku butya bwegenda okutambula. Njagala buterevu okutwala ate mu bakulu bano okwongera okuwuliriza ensonga zaabwe oba oliawo n'okulaba ba ebigambo bya biina biki bisobola okutereeza n'okuyamba munnayuganda alinze embalirira olunaku olw'enkya.
We are hard pressed by time, but briefly I would like to call upon members, and I hope through the presentations that you will be taken through, the information that you will get here, the discussions and the experiences we are going to share in this training program. I hope and suppose that this will be applied effectively in our respective legislative outputs. With those few remarks, so many words at once, may I take the singular opportunity to invite the leader of the opposition in the 11th Parliament, none other than the Honorable Mpuuga, to come and make his remarks, and eventually we will officially launch this cluster training program. Please, Lord.
Thank you so much, the Honorable John Babs-Nandeshe, the Opposition Chief Whip, Honorable Members of Parliament, the staff of Parliament, our invited facilitators from the different sectors of government and private sector, friends from the fourth estate, ladies and gentlemen. It's my singular honor to welcome you to this workshop. I understand members of Parliament over time have not been used to timekeeping, but we are teaching them progressively. We said we are beginning at 9 o'clock, not 9 counted in base 10, but 9 a.m. in the morning. So whoever is late will catch us going, because there is no such time to wait for members to come. I would like to welcome you to this training program hosted by the Law Policy Department. And at this very moment, I'd like to appreciate our partners, IRI, for making this possible. This is the first of the kind, at least for the National Parliament. Even for the 3 parliaments I've been a part, the training for members of Parliament has been generic. But this time round, we're here to undertake particularized orientation for members. So I'd like to thank you, Said, and Arain in particular, for enabling us to evolve this program. I'm very delighted this morning to officiate this historic occasion when the opposition in Parliament is taking bold steps to empower technically our members and of course our technical team with a view of dominating the major issues in the country and Parliament. You cannot dominate an environment with noise only. You can only dominate it with knowledge. And people are more willing to spare space for knowledge than noise. So I'd like to appreciate members for finding this very imperative by availing this very precious time for this orientation. One of our colleagues, a typical session of Parliament, with the way we know it, for the better part, offers an opportunity for members to learn the basics of parliamentary business. That's what takes place in the first sessions. People are trying to find their bearing and to learn their trade in Parliament. This they do in the committees, and sometimes those gambled appearances on the floor to try and find your way. And of course, with the experience from the committees, a member is able to acquire some minimum knowledge that enable them to make submissions on the floor. The next level that's more important for us is to read and receive expert opinions and knowledge of particular interest to the legislator. Because as an MP, the expectations from the public is that of an all-rounder. That when a matter comes on atomic energy, you must rise and submit atomic energy. If it is a human organs transplant, you submit like a scientist that has just come out of medical school. Forget about the facts that whether you were a social worker or a teacher like myself, you must submit. When it comes to agriculture, you expect to submit on soil science, as if you're a graduate, fresh graduate from agriculture school. That's the nature of Member of Parliament. The public expects that you must be able to have capacity, make submission literally on every subject matter. Aware that our numerical disadvantage can be turned around by quality submissions that have the effect of convincing majority to take our positions in the House, we have decided that in the second session of the Parliament, we need to empower technically our technical staff and members of Parliament to move at the same pace to be able to make this difference. Introducing program-based budgeting as envisaged in the National Development Plan, we are aware has fundamentally tilted and altered government budgeting systems and ultimately requires a migration in how Parliament applies its appropriation as well as oversight functions. Where we have these gaps in understanding program-based budgeting by government officials, you probably have witnessed this in the committees. Technical staff from ministries and the ministers could not properly explain what they had come to do or what they were up to. And the reasoning was that they also tried to get grasp with the new issues emerging in this program-based budgeting, away from the former output-based. Of course, we are taking bold steps as the opposition to commit to building capacity that we are able to occupy the space with confidence on the floor and the committees to be able to influence public policy in a manner that is consistent with what is expected of us. I've heard very clearly the cow articulating what's going to be the paradigm shift in the way we work as the opposition. And I would like to indeed buttress what he has just said, that once we have grasped this migration in the way government business is transacted, remember that as the opposition, we are in charge of 4 committees of Parliament. And these committees are very key committees. There's no way we're going to be the leaders and the managers and bearers of these accountability committees unless we are able to appreciate what program-based budgeting is. How are you going to hold an entity accountable when you don't even understand what it was expected to be its output? So unless we appreciate what these are, and I hope the leaders of these committees will have time to attend the various trainings that are going to be cascaded across, for them to be able to properly understand and appreciate the public expectations. And as we shift, like the cow has communicated, because our whipping system is going to be altered to be able to give us that much desired output. One of the lowest days of a member of Parliament is to be cast in the public media as unable to speak in Parliament. You saw that tilted media output that said our members of Parliament are not able to debate. Of course, the bulk of it was not truthful, because it made allusions to members that I know actually speak in Parliament, and I thought it was not properly thought through. But assuming it has an iota of truth, what stops members from speaking, for the bigger part, is lack of knowledge. A matter is on the floor, then a member rises and says, right, on the speaker, what am I saying? So what's the speaker supposed to tell you? What are you saying? You rose because you had something to say. So along the way you encounter stage fright, and what you wanted to submit disappears. But when you have given this job time, and I want to invite you colleagues to give this job of being member of Parliament time. It's a big job. It is a full-time job. It requires time. Time not just for physical presence, but also time for gathering knowledge to be able to make a difference while in occupation of this critical task. So, we believe with the COW and the technical team that we can prepare you to be better legislators and influence business. The net impact of an MP should not be the number of times you have risen to speak, but how much you have influenced debate on a particular matter. Even if you rise once in a session, and for example, change the direction of a debate on a bill or a policy presented, you go to go. You're actually better than somebody rising 100 times on a point of order. You know? I don't want to encourage you to rise on order and procedure, and when the procedure is given, you say, is it in order for a member to sit very close to me? And you know, you're actually abusing the time designed by people to substantively make submissions. But a part of that is because somebody wants to be counted as having risen and spoken several times, but uninfluenced what? Members of Parliament are expected to rise, to influence bills, to present official statements, to produce policy statements, you know, to represent their constituencies on matters that affect them by way of petitions, to ask questions requiring either oral answers or written answers. Anything short of that, don't tell him that you rose 100 times. To what effect? So, but the best way, you're most motivated to rise because you have something substantive to submit. The whip will, in our subsequent meetings probably, enlighten us more on how this is going to be effective, because we want to empower you to speak. And we want to make sure that everyone has a chance to speak by way of how we're going to design our whipping system. And I want to encourage you to respect it. It's not that we are going to be blocking members from speaking, no, but we want our official positions properly articulated in Parliament. And in the committees, honorable colleagues, we would like to enhance our visibility there as well. And we would like to, in the coming days, in terms of our presentation, that for every matter before a committee, we shall be there and make an official opposition position known. The members on the Committee for Natural Resources, even the Natural Resources, are aware that we piloted this in their committee by presenting our position on the Electricity Amendment Bill. And make no mistake, we changed the direction of the entire bill by our presentation. So members are not going to go to committees for each to present their own position. We're not blocking you from making your views known, but the official position of the opposition will be presented by the members in the committee, so that it generates the debate. When you go on the verandas and the media is looking for you for a statement, you should be able to give the position of the opposition. Of course, I am aware some members are very active on the veranda. those people, the veranda, a position different from what we are presenting on the floor of Parliament. Meaning that they are oblivious of what has been done as a collective and waiting for an opportunity for a microphone on the veranda to really be at cross purpose with our official position. Then like, really? Honorable member, did you really get to understand what was happening on the floor? Did you even listen? But of course, it was an opportunity to speak to the media, which is quite inviting, but we want to do it smarter. Let me tell you, the media will come for you when they know you are articulate with positions, not because you are able to speak in the microphone. So I want to empower you to speak with the firmness, with the knowledge, so that we are able to get our positions well understood. I would like to thank you for turning up today, and we would like to use these program clusters to empower you to make more robust presentations in Parliament. And the Chief Whip has been asked to be the person dealing with this entire training program, and he will be guiding us on how eventually he's going to deploy his troops, aware that he's in the process of moving members on the sectoral committees, probably this week and next week. That should be done. We want to appear better. Finally, I would like to state that the whole purpose of these new changes is to ultimately use our small numbers to dominate business on the floor of the House and with the committees. I want to thank you once again for taking the time to come and participate in this launch of the first cluster program capacity building sessions. It's now my severe honor to declare the training and capacity building officially opened. I wish you very fruitful engagements. Have a great day. I'll excuse myself for a minute. I'll be right back, and I'm going to be part of this training the whole day and see how people submit air on the floor and the committees.
Biwa BBS telefoni yafe ye mubaka Honorable Mathias Mpuuga Nsamba era kuyiruluvuganya government in Parliament y'eggwanga munakibiina kya National Unity Platform ngayongera okutanya ku nsonga z'enjawulo obaoli awo nsuubira okuba nti nga nze Munnayuganda akaseera kano kajjidde oba enteekateeka zino zijjidde mu kaseera akatuufu. We all know and we all agree nti Parliament yaffe okuviira ddala mu Parliament ey'omukaaga ey'omusanvu awo ndowooza munaana ezze sereba naddala ku nteesa abantu gye bateesa abantu balwana ku appearinga naye ng'ekikulu byonna akyogeddeko bulungi nti ekikulu si gy'emirundi gy'ositusa okwogera naye biki by'oyogedde birimu ensa. Ekikulu si kwe kudda mu nkubo TV ne zikugirako naye ddala ebibadde mu Parliament ebadde ku floor bitegedde tukkiriza era nga ge mazima agakawa nti Parliament abamu ku babaka baffe bakyali bakibogwe naye ng'ate basobola okuba nga obaoliyo bakyusa endaba n'enteesa gye bateesaamu singa baba nga bafunye emisomo nga gino naye nga tugenda kuwumulamu kati nnyo tujja kudda n'ekitundu ekyokubiri tunaba nga tusobodde okufuna abamu ku bintu ab'enjawulo abali mu lutuula luno okwongera okuwayamu nabo n'okutunuulira buti obaoliawo bwe kigenda okukyusa ekifaananyi kya Parliament naddala kudda olubawula gavumenti kiki ekigenda okuvaamu kanzije kati nnyo tovaamu.